Liam Carter had faced fire, death, and loss, but nothing prepared him for the sight of the silent little girl standing in the center of his 14 trained German shepherds. The dogs, once labeled dangerous, now bowed to her like she was their queen, and when the town tried to tear them apart, she would prove they weren't just his salvation. They were hers too. Liam Carter had seen fire devour homes, watched smoke steal the breath from strong men, and held the hands of the dying in their final moments. But nothing could have prepared him for what he saw that morning. The sun had just begun to rise over the pine-covered hills of Willow Creek, painting his farm in gold and shadow. Liam stepped out of his farmhouse, coffee in hand, steam curling into the crisp air. He was halfway through his morning routine when he heard it, a soft rustle beyond the barn, too quiet to be the wind, too deliberate to be wildlife. He rounded the corner, and his heart nearly stopped. There, standing in the middle of the training yard, was an 8-year-old girl, tiny, fragile, like a doll lost in a field of giants. Surrounding her in a perfect circle were all 14 of his German shepherds, trained, alert, silent. Liam had worked with them for years, but he had never seen them like this. Still, watching. Sophia. He whispered, the name catching in his throat like a prayer and a curse. The girl didn't move, except for one small gesture. Her hand rose slowly, fingers extended. Liam's legs felt like lead, frozen between instinct and fear. Then the impossible happened. Thor, the oldest and largest of the pack, stepped forward, not to attack but to bow his head beneath her hand, eyes soft, tail low. One by one, the others followed. The circle became a sanctuary, and Sophia, the girl who hadn't spoken a word in over a year, stood at its center, calm as still water. Liam exhaled for the first time in what felt like minutes. He remembered the first time he'd seen Sophia, 3 months ago, peeking through the curtains of the neighboring farmhouse. The Wilsons had just moved in, grandparents taking in their granddaughter after the accident. The kind of accident people didn't talk about. Car crash, icy bridge, no survivors, but her. She hadn't spoken since. At first, Liam kept his distance. The town already thought he was a recluse, a haunted man who preferred dogs to people. Maybe they were right. After his wife passed, and after what shadow, the German shepherd who got him through the darkest nights died at 13, the silence of the house became unbearable. So he filled it. 1 rescue turned into 2, then 5, then 14, all of them unwanted, labeled aggressive, misunderstood. He converted his barn into a heated kennel, set up fence training fields, and found purpose again. Then, the dogs noticed Sophia first. Luna lingered by the fence, ears perked. Ours would lie by the gate, tail thumping when her shadow passed. Liam began catching glimpses, her small hand pressed to the glass, her eyes tracking the dog's every move. Then one morning, she was there, standing at the property line while he brushed. Athena. He didn't speak, just gave a nod. Sophia stepped forward, hesitantly, hand outstretched. Liam whistled low. Ares came to his side. Gentle, he said, to both of them. Ares leaned in. Sophia's hand landed softly behind his ear. A tear slid down her cheek. From that day on, she came more often, never speaking, always watching. Liam showed her how to hold a leash, how to signal a sit, how to feed without encouraging competition. She soaked it in like sun through cold glass. He never pushed, never asked about the accident. They had unspoken rules. Then one night, Mrs. Wilson called. She whispered something in her sleep, she said. Luna, just that. It was the first word in over a year. Liam didn't know what it meant, but he slept better that night than he had in months. What Liam didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Sophia had been visiting the dogs at night. After her grandparents fell asleep, she'd slip through the trees and sit near the fence, watching them under the moonlight. She brought treats, mimicked Liam's training techniques, practiced hand signals, and somehow, over time, she had taught them more than even he realized. That morning, as he walked into the circle and placed a steadying hand on Thor's collar, Sophia finally looked up at him. Her lips didn't move, but her eyes said everything. And Liam knew then, these dogs weren't just saving him anymore. They were saving her, too. Guardians of Willow Creek. The town hall meeting was louder than usual. Inside Willow Creek's modest community center, once the old high school gym, residents packed every seat, their faces tight with concern. At the center of it all was Liam Carter and his 14 German Shepherds. 14 large dogs? Snapped Rachel Dawson, her voice sharp as shattered glass. That's not a home, it's a kennel. What happens when one gets loose, when a child wanders too close? Liam sat in the back, arms crossed, his weathered face unreadable. He'd heard it all before, yet the words still cut deep. Mayor Thomas Wright cleared his throat. We're proposing an ordinance, residential properties limited to 3 dogs. Current owners will have 90 days to comply. The silence that followed was heavier than any bark or growl. Liam didn't argue. He simply stood and walked out before the vote, his back straight despite the weight pressing on his shoulders. That night, Liam coughed so hard he dropped his water glass. The shatter echoed through the farmhouse, followed by the padding of paws on wood. Thor arrived first, then Luna. The dog circled him, ears pinned back, sensing something was wrong. At the clinic the next day, Dr. Elena Vasquez examined him with a furrowed brow. I'm ordering a chest scan, Liam. This isn't just fatigue. He nodded but said nothing. He already knew. The weight in his chest wasn't just grief. It was something darker. Meanwhile, across the property line, Sophia was changing. She still hadn't spoken a full sentence since the accident, but she was communicating. Each night, once her grandparents were asleep, she slipped out to the fence with her notebook. What began as silent watching had become full-fledged training by moonlight. A flick of her wrist meant sit. A circling finger meant group formation. She scribbled everything down, page after page of commands, names, observations. The dogs responded not just with obedience, but loyalty. Athena would nudge her hand if she seemed tired. Ars began guarding the path she took from her house to the kennel. Janet Cole, the local shelter manager, dropped by unannounced one morning with supplies and froze. You've been working them in new drills? She asked, watching the dogs respond to silent hand signals. Liam frowned. Not me. Then he noticed the small footprints near the kennel, a candy wrapper, the faint scent of strawberry shampoo in the hay. Sophia. Before he could process it, a car pulled up. Dana Foster. A CPS agent stepped out with a clipboard. We've received concerns about a child being exposed to unregistered dogs. I'm here to assess the environment. Liam gave her the tour, the reinforced gates, the feeding logs, the immaculate kennels. Still, her expression remained skeptical. These dogs are trained, but that doesn't change the risk assessment. A traumatized child shouldn't be in this environment. Liam didn't argue. He just pointed to a framed photo on the wall, Sophia sitting beside Athena, sketching, while Luna lay protectively beside her. Dana's gaze softened, but only slightly. That night, Sophia didn't come to the fence. Instead, she sat at her desk, pen trembling over her notebook. They're going to take them away, she wrote. I have to show them before it's too late. The morning of the final inspection, the town council arrived, Mayor Wright, Officer Mark Harris, Dana Foster, and half the neighborhood. Liam was showing them the barn when a hush fell over the group. Sophia stood inside the exercise yard, the gate open behind her. 14 German shepherds faced her, still as statues. Sophia. Liam's voice cracked. Before anyone could move, she raised her hand. A single, sharp flick. The dogs moved as one, forming a perfect circle around her, facing outward, tails still. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Another signal. The dogs dropped to their bellies in unison. Total submission. "What the?" Officer Harris muttered. Then Liam's knees buckled. A searing pain tore through his chest. Thor lunged forward, pressing rhythmic weight against Liam's ribs, just as he'd been trained in emergency drills. Luna bolted to the house, returning with a nitro pill bottle in her jaws. "She knows," Sophia whispered, then louder. "I taught her." Dana Foster's clipboard clattered to the ground. In the hospital, Liam drifted in and out of consciousness. When he woke, Sophia was beside his bed, holding a worn notebook. "You kept your promise," she said softly. He blinked. He remembered now, the accident, the car, the dying woman begging him to watch over her daughter. Sophia's mother. Later, Mrs. Wilson found an old photo in Liam's wallet, a fire department send-off. Liam in uniform, standing beside Sophia's parents. "You knew them," she whispered. Liam nodded weakly. "I was first on scene. Couldn't save them. But I promised. I'd watch over her." Tears streamed down Mrs. Wilson's face. "All this time, you were carrying that alone." The town council voted unanimously. The dogs stayed. By spring, Liam was home, weaker but at peace. Sophia came every day after school, refining commands, logging progress in her notebook, now titled The Guardian's Code. One evening, Mayor Wright arrived with a gift, a hand-carved sign for the farm's gate. Guardians of Willow Creek. Sophia traced the letters, smiling. They'll love it. As summer faded, so did Liam. But on his last night, he gave Sophia an envelope. "Don't open it yet," he whispered. "Wait till I'm gone." Inside, a letter. "Sophia, you've given these dogs purpose. You've given me peace. Open that therapy center you dream of. Help kids like you. You're not just part of the pack now. You're the leader." The old barn had been transformed. A new sign hung above its doors. The Legacy Center, Animal Therapy for Kids. Inside, laughter echoed as children worked with dogs, some shy, some grinning. Sophia, now 10, stood at the front, her voice clear. "Today, we're learning trust, just like Liam taught me." Outside, the 14 German shepherds lounged in the sun, older, wiser, watching over the place they helped create. Guardians. Always.